Here is my second book in the series, The Adventures of Jessie and Rocky Rockstar, Tiger. "Look, Mum, it's the Tasmanian tiger," the little boy with freckles and ginger curls yelled out as he pointed to Rocky Rockstar from the sidewalk. Jessie laughed as she looked down at Rocky and thought, "I guess you do look a little bit like a tiger with your bright tan-coloured stripes." Jessie and her mum had stopped for a hot chocolate at Bangles by the beach, the local cafe near their house. It was their favourite place to hang out and talk. Jessie turned to her mum and said, Maybe Rocky was having some puppy nightmares, Mum." Jessie had made a bed with a cardboard box and an old blanket on the floor next to hers for Rocky Rockstar to sleep in. His first few nights seemed a bit rough. Jessie noticed he shivered and whimpered, sometimes whining in his sleep. "Maybe he was, Jessie. It sure is a mystery the way Dad found him, buried in those rocks on the side of the road," her mum said. Jessie also wondered, but preferred not to imagine that picture because it made her feel sad. Quickly slurping the last drops of hot chocolate from her mug, she turned to her mum, smiled, and skipped off, calling out to Rocky Rockstar, "Come on, boy, let's go down the beach. I'll throw you a stick." Rocky jumped up from the warm concrete excitedly and chased after Jessie along the sandy path to the beach. It was a perfect spring day for a play at the beach, Jessie thought. The sun was shining, the sky was bright blue, and there was a soft breeze blowing through Jessie's golden hair. She noticed how quiet the beach was as she skipped over to the sandy dune where the driftwood had washed up from the sea. "There must be a good stick amongst all of this, Rocky," Jessie said to herself as she started to rummage through the pile of debris. Just then, something started to move under the surface of driftwood. Frightened, Jessie jumped back, catching her foot on a large log lying directly behind her and falling backwards onto the sand. Rocky started to bark and growl as he ran around the pile of driftwood Jessie was lying next to. "Shh, Rocky, it's okay, boy," Jessie gestured, but Rocky's bark got louder and louder. "What's wrong, Rocky?" Jessie asked. "What is it, boy?" Jessie continued more urgently. Still lying on the sand, Jessie saw something move under the large log she'd just tripped over. Her heart skipped a beat as she tried to sit up. Looking down at her leg, she felt a sharp pain on her knee and saw blood running onto the sand. "I must have cut myself, Rocky," she declared. Digging her fingers into the sand, she slowly started to drag her body away from the log. Suddenly she gasped as she stared directly into two piercing eyes of a large brown snake. Her heart began to pound as she reached out, searching for a stick to protect herself and escape. As Jessie wrapped her fingers around a piece of driftwood, lifting it up off the sand, Rocky immediately pounced on the wood while barking at the snake. Jessie yelled out, "What are you doing, Rocky? Can't you see the snake's going to bite me if I don't protect myself?" Just then, the snake started to slither away in the opposite direction. Jessie couldn't believe her eyes. She thought to herself, "Wow, it's as though Rocky was telling me if I didn't hurt the snake wouldn't hurt me. He was protecting us both." Hugging Rocky tight, she whispered, "You're a special little dog. You're my best friend. I love you, boy." Slowly rising to her feet and brushing away the sand from her wounded knee, Jessie picked up a stick. Throwing it in the direction toward home, Jessie sighed and said, "Come on, Rocky Rockstar. That's enough excitement for one day, Tiger. Let's go home." As Rocky chased after the stick, Jessie smiled. Limping along the beach, she thought to herself, "There's something special about you, Rocky Rockstar. Maybe the little boy was right. Maybe you're the last Tasmanian tiger." Glancing up, she noticed her mum sitting on the sand cross-legged. She must be meditating. Slowly approaching her, breathless. With nervous excitement, she whispered, "Mum, guess what's just happened?" Turning toward Jessie, her mum replied, "What is it, Jessie?" I saw something moving in the driftwood and fell over a log. There was a brown snake. I grabbed a stick to protect myself and Rocky barked at the snake and it slithered away. Mum, Rocky was rescuing me from the snake. Jessie's mum looked up at Rocky and then at Jessie and said, I'm so glad you're both safe. I think Rocky Rockstar has many important lessons to teach you, Jessie. It seems his lesson today is to treat all living creatures with kindness and respect as they walk or slither on this earth. Standing up, she smiled and held on to Jessie's hand as they walked together in silence back home. Thank you.